There's a common misconception in society today that women believe all men want is cute girls. And I'm sorry, but I'm here today to tell you that that's just not true. You see, in reality, men don't really want a cute girl with, say, blonde hair and blue eyes. What men really want is Atlantis, an ancient city filled with treasure thought to be lost at sea from Poseidon's wrath. For millennia, we followed the legends, the rumors, hearsay, and baseless speculations on an endless crusade for glory, riches, and the bragging rights to the greatest archaeological find the world has ever known. It is for this that we ride, we soar, we sail, always and forever, never stopping, never breaking our stride, on a never-ending journey of wonder and discovery! Unless, of course, we see a Cracker Barrel along the way.
Yeah, we actually really like this place.
Okay, I actually just real quick, really need to go on record with this. I did not plan the Cracker Barrel joke after all the controversy started with Cracker Barrel. I wrote that intro like 5 months ago. I did not know that this was gonna happen. So, like, it's just fortuitous circumstance, I guess. So, with that out of the way, hello, my name is Hunter, the movie reviewing horse, because when it comes to cinema, humans cannot be trusted.
Yeah, neither can the Cracker Barrel logo. They changed it back to the old one while you were talking there, pony boy.
I just want consistency. Back in the late 90s and early 2000s, Disney was annihilating the animated market. We went from Hunchback of Notre Dame to Hercules to Mulan to Tarzan with its soundtrack that goes way harder than it needed to. They had us fooled for a little bit with Dinosaur, but then they were like, nah, we're just kidding. We're going back to 2D for Emperor's New Groove. Some of the best animated films of all time came out of this era, at least critically. Hunchback of Notre Dame, legendary. Mulan, legendary. Lilo and Stitch, legendary. Treasure Planet was so goddamn legendary, we made a D&D show out of it. Even if the movie bombed, they were still really good movies. Unfortunately, in 2004, Disney got drunk and made Home on the Range. At which point, Disney said, fuck it, we're only doing 3D from now on, which led to such masterpieces as Mars Needs Moms, Mars Needs Fucking Moms, or other classic Disney disasters such as Wish, Cars 3, or the Lion King remake because it's a 3D movie, not a live-action remake! And despite me telling everyone not to go see it, it made $1 billion anyway.
It was the greatest scam I ever pulled!
Unfortunately, these days, Disney only seems to be in the business of making sequels and making vastly inferior mockbuster versions of their old movies. Like, if we want to drill down to the meat and potatoes of this, Disney is Asylum at this point. Fortunately, though, after the horror show that was the Snow White remake, Disney said they would stop. Until they decided not to stop and did Lilo and Stitch anyway and ruined it in every which way. Soon, you little bastard. Soon. Though at least now that means they won't go out of their way to ruin some of the better movies from this era, such as Treasure Planet or Atlantis. In a lot of ways, this was Disney going sicko mode on us. Even the castle logo was different. Here, look at this. Now that's how you know we're in for something different. Trailers for this started at... Good God, that's low res. That's 2001 for you. Can we get something a little better? Okay, there we go. All right, marketing for this was, as you would expect, in 2001. They had the theatrical trailers, but notably, this was one of their first major attempts to utilize internet marketing. Yeah, there was a website that you would go to and you would enter codes that you got off the back of breakfast cereals. Fun, right? McDonald's was also in on it with a lineup of Happy Meal toys. I still have the one for Ulysses, my beloved, around here somewhere. Also, that's not the last time you're gonna hear me say that. Ulysses, my beloved! This was one of Disney's forays in promoting their movie with a big fucking submarine all over the marketing. We hadn't seen this since 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. It's still working today. I mean, that's how I promoted this review. And the casting? Oh, the casting was legendary. Michael J. Fox is here playing the lead, but we also had James fucking Garner. Leonard Nimoy is playing the king of Atlantis. Claudia Christian, that legend. Corey Burton, Jim Varney? You know I gotta call out my boy Jim Varney. Goddamn Ernest is in this movie, ladies and gentlemen. And very sadly, this was his last movie. May he rest in peace. Actually, he died before it even came out. The music for this is also done by absolute legend James Newton Howard. We've run into him before. He also did the soundtrack for Treasure Planet, so you know he already has my seal of approval. Even from the trailer alone, you could tell Disney was being adventurous with this movie. This was one of their first forays into heavy CG. Definitely not as much as Treasure Planet, but it was very, very prevalent in all of these trailers. They weren't hiding it. Everything about this was hype. Even at the premiere, their goddamn premiere had laser tag. Who does that? We all jumped on this hype train, myself included, because Disney wasn't trying to hide it. They were going sicko mode on us. Yeah, I'm gonna have the barrel bacon cheeseburger. What about you?
Yeah, and I'm gonna have the New York strip steak.
And 6.9 on IMDb. Wait, what? Okay, so just to be clear, a 6.9 on IMDb, it means people generally liked the movie. But what's with that 48% on Rotten Tomatoes? Or the 52% on Metacritic? Google users rated it. They say 83% of people liked this movie. And I still don't feel like that's high enough.
I think you gotta go against the grain on this one. Gotta go against the consensus.
I think our royalty-free friend here is actually right for once. We can't go off those people's opinions for this movie, because you don't know any better, all right? You just don't know any better. Roger Ebert gave this movie 3.5 out of 4 stars. And that's actually probably right around where I would put it. I mean, that's the greatest film critic of all time right there. How are you gonna argue against him? You can't. And I'm not. He's right. This is a great movie. And I'm actually not the only one that shares this sentiment. In 2015, IO9 said that it was a beautiful gem of a movie that deserved better than it got. Lindsay Teal considers the movie to be a lost Disney classic. Which, yeah, Kita kinda got screwed out of the whole Disney princess craze, even though she literally has that title. And honestly, yeah, looking back, this movie kind of just existed in the moment. One moment we all had Atlantis fever, and the next, we had no Atlantis. It was weird. But then again, so was this movie. This movie was weird. It was just so different. These trailers were coming out and they were all dark and brooding. They were much darker than what we were used to from Disney. They had all this 3D. It's like something we had never seen before. And a lot more people than usual die in this movie. And it had a story by Joss fucking Whedon. Joss Whedon wrote this! And our two directors. And a bunch of other people, but who cares? Joss Whedon! And the screenwriter for both Hunchback of Notre Dame and Tarzan. It's some of the best Disney movies of all time! And this is the score they have on Rotten Tomatoes. There's a whole lot of wrong opinions. Food's here, that was quick.
Yeah, you want to stop for a minute, jump off the passion train, and, actually eat for a minute?
No. I don't understand what happened here. To quote the great Gabe Newell, who also owns Cool Submarines, by the way, what's not to like? Fantastic vocal talent, great writing, a spectacular animation style, and characters that bounce off of each other really, really well. And probably one of the best twist villains of just all time. I love this. And a diverse cast? Oh, Disney loves their diverse cast. And we've got a diverse cast. We've got accents your kid brain won't even understand. Y'all gotta watch this movie with subtitles, because Mole here is so goddamn French, you won't understand a single word. Every character is unique, has their own charms, flaws, and they waste no time getting into these characters either. Right at the beginning of the movie, when they're introducing Mr. Whitmore, he's introduced as kind of maybe not a character we should like, but, like, that gets thrown out the window pretty quickly. And the reason he's funding the expedition in the first place should go down in movie history as one of the most unique reasons for us to go on an expedition. Is he genuinely curious? No, not really. Does he want to go? No, absolutely not. I lost a bet. That is the whole reason.
For years, your granddad bent my ear with stories about that old book. I didn't buy it for a minute. So finally, I got fed up and I made a bet with the old coot. I said, Thatch, if you ever actually find that so-called journal, not only will I finance the expedition, but I'll kiss you full on the mouth. That's my embarrassment when he found the darn thing.
See, now that's great. I love that. Not only does it clear up any character doubts we have immediately, but it just reinforces him as a genuine friend of his grandfather. But at the same time, the movie can also use this against us. We spend a long time getting to know Rourke, the commander of this whole expedition. And then, in the third act of the movie, he's the villain, actually. And everybody has guns now. Originally, we thought it was going to be the King of Atlantis, because, like, he was kind of standoffish, not very friendly. Towards the end of the movie, openly admitting to using their ancient power for the purposes of war. But the thing is, too, it works. It actually works. Rourke is a great twist villain for this movie.
I consider myself an even-tempered man. It takes a lot to get under my skin. But congratulations, you just won the solid gold Cupid doll.
Even our minor characters get a lot of love. Packard, for example. She, doesn't really do much in this movie. In fact, when we're all killing each other, she's just taking pictures with a camera. But she leaves an impact. She's also one of the very few Disney characters that actually smokes. And she's got some really memorable lines.
We're all gonna die.
Forget your jammies, Mrs. Packard?
I sleep in the nude.
You're gonna want a pair of these. She sleepwalks.
You took his suitcase? Marge, honey, I don't think he's coming back.
Packard!
I have to call you back. No, I'll call you.
And Sweet's probably my favorite. I love this guy. He's the closest thing in our cast that we have to a rock. Just someone we can fall back on. But overall, there's no one here who's really unlikable. Everybody's got a purpose, everybody has a place in the group, everybody's funny, some funnier than others.
What's Mole's story?
Trust me on this one. You don't want to know. Audrey, don't tell him. You shouldn't have told me, but you did. And now I'm telling you, you don't want to know.
It goes beyond just the people, though. Every vehicle that we use has so much character put into it. This gigantic freaking drill machine. I love this thing so much. The oil tanker, it just looks like a truck with 3 gigantic milk jugs in the back. Big old flying fish that shoot bolts of energy. Ulysses, my beloved! This gigantic submarine has so much screen presence, and then it's got like 22 smaller submarines that shoot out of it, and then more submarines that you could shoot out the back, and then, oh my god. So frickin' cool. By the way, I found it. I already checked, the batteries are dead. Which makes this movie hurt even more when all of this stuff just starts getting destroyed. Rourke, for example, the way they kill Rourke is just... This is just brutal. Helga has a blimp fall on her. When's the last time someone died from a blimp falling on them? They Hindenburged her. They literally Hindenburged her. It doesn't stop with the 195 people that die in this movie either. Every single vehicle that we use gets destroyed. In fact, that oil tanker I mentioned earlier, that's the first to go. Our giant drill lasts a little longer and then dies in a volcano. Like, how does that even happen? Ulysses, my beloved, we actually only saw this sub for 8.5 minutes. And then it exploded because of this giant robot lobster thing. That's probably not even a lobster.
All right, who's not dead? Sound off.
And that giant robot lobster thing... oh boy! This is how little Timmy gets nightmares. And if you don't have nightmares, also it can fly, apparently? But we never get to see that. But good God, this is a really violent one for Disney. Like, we knew they were going through a phase where they were getting a little more violent, but we literally held a funeral in this movie. How on earth did they get away with a PG rating? And we actually do have numbers on this. 200 people are on the Atlantis expedition. 7 make it to the end credits. That's a mortality rate of over 99%. How do you even?
Hey, Mulan had 2,000 deaths in it. Although the company will tell you it's 1,500. Like, that came out 3 years prior. It was way more violent than this movie.
Mickey, at least 35,000 people died in the opening scene alone. What do you have to say to that?
Oh, jeez. Yeah, this might actually be my most violent animated film.
And the animation here? Oh, magnifique. Though I would expect nothing less from Disney Animation Studios. Earlier I mentioned that this was one of their first forays into heavy CG, and I do mean heavy because they really only use it for the big stuff, like the big submarines or our trucks or these flying fish that are going everywhere. Stuff that's gonna take way too long to animate by hand. We don't really get anything too crazy with it. We don't exactly get a 2D, 3D hybrid character like we got with John Silver, but it feels like this movie crawled so that Treasure Planet could run. We still have a whole bunch of big 2D animated segments here and there, and all of our characters are 2D. And in a lot of ways, it actually reminds me of a few animes. Yamato 2199, for example, uses CG to animate all their spaceships to glorious effect. Now, some of it isn't as smooth. The 2D tends to chug here and there, and it's definitely not as glorious as Treasure Planet. And I think that's something we need to accept here, is that this movie is good, but it's not as good as Treasure Planet. Even if they both have the same music composer who has all those trumpets and horns coming in like... It's the most glorious music I've ever heard in my entire life! James Newton Howard really was at the top of his game here. In fact, he's probably one of the best composers that Disney has. They still have him. He more recently did music for Raya and the Last Dragon. He won awards for that! And it really is perfect for just the gloriousness of this movie. That's how this movie kind of feels. Glorious. Because it loves its glory shots. Its big establishing shots. The slow zoom out. The big booming orchestral numbers. And it's got the story to back it up. Not only that, this is a movie that does not shy away from its own universe like Treasure Planet does. It wears its lore on its sleeve. Milo, our main character, is constantly reading from the Shepherd's Journal, which is basically the Atlantis lore book and how to find it. Whenever this movie needs it, we always have someone to come in and say, okay, this is what's going on, this is what we need to do, are you following me, kids? Okay, yes, yes. This is for the little kids in the audience, are you following me? Good. And now we get into the technobabble, which this movie doesn't shy away from either. You guys want technical specifications for Ulysses, my beloved? You don't need to dig very deep to find the technical specifications for that sub. Rourke's middle name is Tiberius. I don't know why. But he's also the first Disney character ever in the history of Disney to be divorced. Which lore book was this in? And that's the thing, too. Books. Remember in Treasure Planet when I said I want to read books of this? Oh, they gave us books. I distinctly remember this one book that had maps in it and stuff. Now that was cool. It was cool because all the marketing material and all the merchandising for this movie didn't shy away from that. It gave you that option, and it said, yeah, no, the kids are gonna love this movie, but if you're smart enough, you'll absolutely get a kick out of this. This was one of those movies that didn't shy away from that. It was so awesome for that. And various scenes in this movie reflect that as well. There are scenes where we slow down and we just talk. We just talk about what's going on. We talk about our characters. And I've said it before, and I'll say it again, kids need this. They need these slow scenes. They need these quiet scenes. They need pauses. It teaches them patience. It helps them appreciate the movie a little bit more. And the adults that had to drag their kids to this movie, they get a break. They get something that's actually really good. Something that really has some meat on its bones for them to sink their teeth into. This movie is a big believer in, let's put some adult stuff in here. And it's great! In our Treasure Planet review, I said there are 5 good Disney movies. And this is absolutely one of them. And it's a good thing they did give up on those live-action adaptations, because they would probably ruin it. Am I right or am I right?
Well, you try kidifying the 99% mortality rate and getting that past the new Motion Picture Association. It's hard. Modern filmmaking is hard.
It's not hard. You just got freaking lazy. So what's bad about this movie? Nothing. It's perfect. Though then again, that's me looking at it through rose-tinted glasses, so okay, let's get serious. I'd say the story for this movie is a little bit misjointed. It starts off really adventurous. This is, first and foremost, an adventure movie. We establish what we're doing at the beginning of the movie, of course, and then we get on the big submarine. We have our big fight scene. We start delving into caves, digging holes. Everything out here is trying to kill us. And then we hit Atlantis, and it just stops. There's almost a complete tone shift. We start talking about ancient cultures and how they don't know how to speak their own language anymore. It's actually kind of depressing. Kita, she explains how art down here is dead. And apparently they used to have a really rich culture. We established at the beginning that 10,000 BC, Atlantis had electricity, advanced medicine, they could fly. But it kind of bounces back at the end when we start digging all this stuff up and like, all right, we're awesome. Yeah, okay. So maybe, honestly, this part's not too bad. What is bad, and I feel like this is a marketing problem more than anything else, is I feel like all the Atlanteans still being alive down here would have been a way better plot twist if that wasn't in any of the trailers. If all of our trailer shots were just them in the first part of the movie trying to find Atlantis in the first place, that would have been great. And then, oh, wait, suddenly I'm in the movie theater and all these people are alive. This would have had way more of an impact if we didn't know ahead of time. Now, again, this is a marketing issue more than anything else, but Disney kind of screwed up on this one. It's not the only place the marketing screwed up either. It was a big marketing campaign, so they were bound to screw it up in a few places, like slapping Ulysses, my beloved, all over the marketing. Ulysses, my beloved! We knew this submarine for maybe 10 minutes in this film, and then we blew it up! We were on it for 8.5 of those minutes, which, that's good, but it only lasted 8.5 minutes! In some of the early story iterations, it did last longer. They were originally supposed to destroy the Leviathan somehow, even though it's the size of a mountain. But that's not what we got. We got a destroyed submarine in 8.5 minutes. And 21 of those 22 subpods were also destroyed. And 3 out of our 4 evacuation submarines as well, which ironically, these 2 subs are the only ones that I think are still intact, even though we just leave them there. It goes back to the mortality rate. We lost 99% of our people and all of our equipment. Which is ironic because they made toys out of every single one of these vehicles. The merchandising. The merchandising really kind of hindered this movie in a lot of ways. Like, they lured us in with that submarine, and it's on the poster.
Are you just upset because I destroyed your favorite submarine?
Yeah, maybe I am. Its story is a little misjointed, and character development could have been a little bit better, even though it was pretty okay. It takes a while to get into some of these characters, but we do eventually get into it. And a lot of the problems here come from marketing more than anything else, but other than that, this is a movie that can stand on the shoulders of giants. Right up there next to Treasure Planet. Maybe not as good, but it's there. Someone once wrote that Disney is absolutely clueless when it comes to making live-action films, and they are the complete opposite when it comes to animation. And they were absolutely right. My final verdict is a 9.5. Not as high as Treasure Planet, but still ridiculously high. Oh, also, check, please. Atlantis: The Lost Empire is a testament to a bygone era that was Disney animation. This may have been one of their last hurrahs in the 2D animated scene, but by God, if they didn't go out swinging. The person who said that quote earlier was James Berardinelli, and yeah, he's absolutely right. Disney is clueless when it comes to live action, and it is the exact opposite in the animated scene. They knew exactly what they were doing when they made this movie. Because this really was more than just another animated movie for them. It was an event. And that's why they poured all of that money into the marketing. And it paid off. This movie did make its money back. It was beautiful. Everything about it was perfect. And then they made a fucking sequel. Yeah, I couldn't not talk about it. The direct-to-video sequel, Atlantis, Milo's Return, really is the epitome of straight-to-video Disney sequels. It ain't good. And they wanted it to be a TV show, but that didn't happen either, because it wasn't good. It was cheap, it was poorly written, it deserves an entire review on its own, so we're not gonna dwell on it too heavily, but... oh my god. Let's go back to this movie, because this movie is brilliant. Milo's Return, not brilliant. You really should have just left it at this. You didn't even get most of the cast back for the sequel. You had James Arnold Taylor never mind. Like I said, that movie deserves an entire review on its own. In fact, if you just treat that as not canon, that'd be fine. That'd be perfect. Just do that. Because this movie on its own is great. It's the opposite of Treasure Planet. I don't want more. This was fine. I feel like we got everything we needed in this. And that's yet another thing this movie did really, really good, is that it does everything it needs to. And it somehow, at the same time, gives us everything we want. It is a masterpiece of animated cinema. Find this movie. It's on Disney+. It's easy to find. They didn't try to hide this movie. They're proud of this movie. And they should be. This really is one for the Criterion Collection. In fact, I definitely think this movie deserved way more than it actually got. And frankly, I think it's okay that it's never gonna get a live-action adaptation, because I would not be excited to see how they ruin it. My name is Hunter, and...
Hey, did you see this article here? Apparently some scientists in the Atlantic found the lost city of Atlantis.
I would love to thank all of our amazing fans for sticking with us this long. This review has been a very long time coming, and honestly, it's been in production for a while now because somewhere along the lines this turned into a passion project. I'm actually really passionate about this movie. Atlantis is one of my very favorite films. I would also like to thank our awesome sponsor, Green Man Gaming. You can head down to the link below, get some fantastic deals on video games, including, but not limited to, 23% off of the upcoming game Mars Attacks, which is a game based on Mars attacks. That is a very funny movie. There's a few other really great deals out there as well, including full price for Borderlands 4, because Randy Pitchford is the worst. Yeah, you thought we were done after the Borderlands review. You'd be wrong. I'd also like to thank every single one of our channel members. I know that we kind of got away from the Patreon, but I'd like to thank all of our channel members. Jonathan Coco, Tribal Typhoon, Noah Shan, Renegade, Hokage, Saxy One, Viper, The Friendly Pyro, Shan Dilworth, Valkyrie Hero, JM, and the snowiest of foxes. If you guys want to be thanked at the end of these reviews, please, please, please consider joining the channel membership. It'll help support the channel directly, and it'll allow us to continue our uninterrupted domination of this YouTube channel with future reviews such as the live-action Lilo and Stitch or The Dog Who Saved Christmas. Again? Yeah, that's what it says here. Thank you all so much once again for watching. We really do appreciate your support. It's good to be back. We've been gone for a little bit, but now we're back for a while, and it's really good to be back. Thank you again so much for watching. Here's some credits, and we'll see you guys next time.
Ah.